From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday launched electronic food vouchers for some 750,000 beneficiaries of the Walang Gutom Program or WGP in a bid to strengthen and scale up the government's anti-hunger campaign. During the launch of the Reducing Food Insecurity and Undernutrition with Electronic Vouchers or Refuel project at the San Andres Sports Complex in Manila, the President said the government would assist the WGP beneficiaries in using the digital vouchers.
Palagay ko, pagkatapos ng taon, makikita natin mas bababa pa. Dahan-dahan po na natutupad po ang pangarap po ng inyong Pangulo, ang pangarap po ng lahat ng Pilipino na wala nang ginugutom na pamilya dito sa atin. Dahan-dahan po, dahil siyempre ginagawa pa rin po natin yung sistema, dahan-dahan po maaabot na natin lahat ng poorest, pinakamahirap na 1 million na pamilya ay makokobera na nitong ating programa. Kaya patuloy natin, maganda naman ang naging resulta. Kaya patuloy natin ang ating pagbigay ng tulong sa ating mga kababayan na nangangailangan ng tulong at kami po ay tuloy-tuloy na ginagawa kumukuha po kami ng impormasyon para malaman namin wala naman po na dapat kasama sa programa na hindi makita. Kaya inaayos po natin lahat ng impormasyon para wala naman sa ating mga kababayan ng kailangan ng tulong na hindi natin natutulungan. Kaya titiyakin po natin na lahat ng ating kababayan na nangangailangan ay maisama sa programa.
Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD has partnered with the Asian Development Bank or ADB to roll out the monthly electronic food vouchers, aiming to expand the WGP's coverage to 750,000 households nationwide by 2026. The WGP provides a monthly 3,000 peso electronic food credits to low-income households. Meanwhile, the 74 billion peso Refuel project, a government-led initiative supporting the scale-up of the WGP, is funded through a loan from the ADB and co-financed by the Agence Française de Développement and the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries Fund for International Development. The newly launched program aims to support the WGP's mission of reducing hunger and improving nutrition from 2025 to 2028 through food support, behavior change sessions, and stronger social protection systems. According to a Social Weather Stations or SWS survey commissioned by telecoms firm Globe and Monde Nielsen for the WGP, hunger prevalence among beneficiaries dropped to 41.5% in March this year, down from 48.7% in October 2024 and 44.6% in December of 2024. The survey results reflect an overall decline in hunger incidence by 7.2 percentage points, with the most significant improvement recorded in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM Plus cluster, where rates dropped by 17.4 percentage points.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said the nearly 5-decade-old Philippine International Convention Center or PICC in Pasay City, which recently received a makeover, should serve as the benchmark for how national infrastructure must be built: durable, future-proof, and deeply tied to cultural identity. In his latest vlog made public Wednesday evening, the president said the refurbished PICC is more than just a venue upgrade ahead of the country's hosting of the 2026 Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Summit. It is proof that infrastructure built with foresight can stand the test of time. This comes as the administration probes the widespread corruption in multi-billion peso infrastructure programs, particularly in flood control projects marred by allegations of kickbacks, collusion between contractors and government officials, bloated project costs, and ghost projects. President Marcos said the original PICC, designed by national artist Leandro Locsin and inaugurated in 1976, was conceived to showcase a modern country, a modern economy. Nearly 50 years later, he said, its revival now symbolizes the Philippines' readiness to reintroduce itself to the world. As the government prepares to host world leaders in 2026, President Marcos said renovated infrastructure like the PICC must reflect not just functionality but national character.
The idea of building the PICC came up ay nung panahon na papunta rito ang International Monetary Fund. Nakita namin kulang ang mga facilities. Kulang tayo sa hotel rooms, kulang tayo sa convention center. Kaya nung panahon na yon, hindi lamang ang PICC ang itinayo, ngunit maraming hotel pa. Kailangan natin ipakita that the Philippines has become a modern country, a modern economy. A little ahead of its time, but it was a very global concept that raised the awareness of Philippine culture, of the Philippine identity. Itong pag-renovate na ito ay kabilang sa mga paghahanda natin sa chairship ng ASEAN next year, 2026. Kaya marami na naman tayong bisita at panauhin na excited nang makita ang ating bansa. At titiyakin natin na may pagmamalaki naman natin ang Pilipinas na kanilang makikita sa kanilang pagdating.
The 6-month refurbishment included structural repairs and modernization works, restoring long-neglected interiors and art pieces housed within the iconic complex. The president officially reopened the PICC on September 30th, hailing it as a symbol of Filipino resilience and creativity. The PICC, considered a national cultural treasure, is Asia's first international convention center and has hosted historic global and local events. Its development was spearheaded by then First Lady Imelda Marcos, the president's mother. Its 6-month renovation was personally supervised by First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Thursday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. administered the oath of office to former Philippine National Police or PNP Chief retired General Benjamin Acorda Jr. as the new Executive Director of the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission or PAOCC. Acorda, a member of the Philippine Military Academy or PMA class of 1991, served as the 29th PNP chief from April 2023 to April of 2024. A pioneer of the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group, Acorda also held various key posts, including Deputy Director of the National Capital Region Police Office, Director of the Integrity Monitoring and Enforcement Group, Chief of Staff of the Civil Security Group, and Chief of the Anti-Fraud and Commercial Crimes Division. Before his assumption as top police officer. He was PNP Director for Intelligence from August 2022 to April 2023 and Director of Police Regional Office 10 or Northern Mindanao from November 2021 to August of 2022. The PAOCC, created under Executive Order or EO 295, is tasked to investigate and prosecute organized crime groups and corrupt public officials, conduct intelligence operations, and formulate anti-crime strategies. The agency has been actively combating illegal Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs. Acorda replaces Gilbert Cruz, who Malacañang said would be appointed to another government post.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Octo Research Fellow Guido David on Thursday said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is heading in the right direction as he remains firm in efforts to eradicate corruption in government. While David acknowledged that more needs to be done to curb corruption, he said many Filipinos appreciate President Marcos's efforts to address the problem. Octa's Tugon ng Masa survey conducted from the 25th to the 30th of September showed that 83% of 1,200 adult Filipinos support President Marcos's decision to expose corruption in government, particularly in flood control projects. According to the survey results, only 3% of the respondents disagreed with the president's move, while 13% were undecided. David noted that Filipinos surveyed by Octa Research want immediate outcomes, including accountability for corrupt officials and contractors linked to anomalous flood control projects. He added that respondents are also calling for increased transparency as well as the efficient and timely implementation of government projects. David also urged the public not to judge the entire government based on a few bad apples, apparently referring to corrupt officials. He expressed confidence that the issues surrounding the flood control projects will be resolved under the supervision of Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news Thursday, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, said the number of reported fatalities from the magnitude 6.9 earthquake that hit Bogo City, Cebu, and nearby areas on September 30th has climbed to 76. In its latest situation report, the NDRRMC said all fatalities, which are still being validated, are from Region 7 or Central Visayas. The NDRRMC is also validating 559 reported casualties resulting from the powerful tremor. The late-night quake also affected 216,962 families, or 748,025 persons residing in 260 villages in Central Visayas. The Disaster Response Agency also said 126,932 houses were damaged, while 7,295 were destroyed due to the earthquake. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLC, said the on-land extension of the newly named Bogo Bay Fault generated the September 30 Cebu earthquake. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. earlier visited damaged communities in Bogo City, inspected infrastructure, and met with affected families as the government ramps up relief, rehabilitation, and service restoration efforts.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meantime, Canada is providing over 26 million pesos or about 625,000 Canadian dollars in humanitarian assistance to support emergency relief efforts in the Philippines following the series of earthquakes and storms that struck parts of the country. The Canadian Embassy in Manila said Thursday the funding would be coursed through three non-government organizations: the World Vision, Philippine Red Cross, and Angat Buhay or Angat Pinas Incorporated. During the funding announcement, Secretary of State for International Development Randip Saray said, "The Philippines is especially vulnerable to natural disasters, and Canada stands with its people as they face the impacts of these recent disasters." Canadian Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Secretary of State for Small Business and Tourism, Rechi Valdez, also conveyed her sympathies to the victims of the calamities. She said, "Canada is helping communities across the Philippines get back on their feet, providing life-saving assistance now and supporting resilience for the weeks ahead." Of the amount, 14.5 million pesos will be allocated to World Vision to provide relief items and emergency shelter, protection services, water, sanitation, and hygiene services. The Philippine Red Cross will receive 10.3 million pesos to support its ongoing operations in Cebu. Angat Buhay, on the other hand, will get 2 million pesos to help with its distribution of dignity and hygiene kits and emergency shelter in Cebu. The Canadian government also offered to deploy relief supplies from its emergency stockpiles pre-positioned in the region should they be requested.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, or DSUD, has started the turnover of modular shelter units, or MSUs, to the local government of San Remillo in Cebu Province. In a news release on Thursday, the agency said it marked the completion of the first ever Bayanihan Village for families displaced by the recent earthquake in the province. The newly constructed MSUs, located in the village of Poblacion, will serve as temporary homes for quake-hit residents who lost their houses following the magnitude 6.9 earthquake that struck northern Cebu on September 30th. Built Bayanihan style in just 7 days, the Bayanihan Village was jointly developed by multiple government agencies led by the DSUD with support from the private sector. DSUD Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling said, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered that fellow Filipinos be provided with more comfortable and safer shelters. He lauded the interagency cooperation that made the project possible, citing it as a concrete example of the Marcos administration's whole-of-government approach to disaster response and recovery. Under the turnover agreement, the San Remigio Local Government Unit will handle the identification of beneficiaries and the maintenance of the Bayanihan Village. Each cluster of modular shelters includes shared comfort rooms, lavatories, electricity, lighting, and proper ventilation to ensure comfort and safety for Filipinos. The DSUD collaborated with the Department of Public Works and Highways for site development and the Department of Social Welfare and Development, which will manage the facility once occupied. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine National Police, Philippine Coast Guard, and the Office of Civil Defense were also instrumental in the transport and installation of the modular units. 2 private companies joined the effort by providing manpower and logistical support to speed up construction. Similar bayanihan villages are being simultaneously established in Daanbantayan, another Cebu municipality heavily affected by the earthquake, and in Tarragona, Davao Oriental Province, which was hit by a 7.4 magnitude earthquake on October 10th.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, on Thursday thanked the World Food Program, or WFP, for establishing a multifunctional storage unit, or MSU, at the tent city in quake-hit Bogo City. Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao of the DSWD's Disaster Response Management Group, or DRMG, cited the MSU's help in sustaining speedy disaster response operations for internally displaced persons, or IDPs, in Bogo City and other towns in northern Cebu. In a statement, Dumlao said the presence of civil society organizations and international partners like the WFP greatly contributes to a comprehensive and more efficient delivery of prompt response in times of calamities. The giant storage tent from the WFP measures 10 meters by 32 meters and now serves as a central hub for suppliers, such as family food packs, or FFPs, ready-to-eat food boxes, and family tents. As round-the-clock disaster operations continue, a designated area within the MSU has been reserved as a rest area for the members of the DSWD's Quick Response Team, or QRT. More than 414.9 million pesos in humanitarian assistance had been provided to the 12 local government units, or LGUs, in northern Cebu since the magnitude 6.9 temblor struck on September 30th. Of the total aid extended, more than 282.6 million pesos came from the DSWD, while more than 132.3 million pesos was from non-government organizations. The DSWD has also finished both the first and second waves of FFP distribution, with 443,340 boxes already provided to the 12 LGUs in response to their resource augmentation requests.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippines Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, on Thursday met with government agencies to outline the government asset recovery efforts from personalities implicated in anomalous flood control projects. The agencies in attendance include the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, Department of Justice, or DOJ, Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, or CICC, Maritime Industry Authority, or MARINA, Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, Insurance Commission, Bureau of Customs, or BOC, Commission on Audit, or COA, Land Transportation Office, or LTO, Land Registration Authority, or LRA, Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, Security and Exchange Commission, or SEC, Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLAC, Philippine Competition Commission, and the Office of the Solicitor General, or OSG. In a press briefing after a closed-door meeting, ICI Executive Director Brian Hosaka said, "It's a whole-of-government approach to recover assets in the control of persons responsible for the anomalous flood control projects." He added that representatives of various government agencies agreed to form a technical working group that would regularly meet to update each other and share information that may fast-track the restitution of assets. Hosaka, meanwhile, bared that the AMLAC has frozen 5 billion pesos in approximately 2,800 accounts. The ICI spokesperson said that in some instances, some agencies may act without going to court, citing the Bureau of Customs' effort to auction surrendered luxury vehicles. Hosaka added that they may also look into supposed links between the Diskaya couple and CLTG Corporation, a firm owned by the family of Senator Bongo.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.